Welcome to Karate 360. I'm the co-host, Richard Mosdell.
And I'm the other co-host, Kalan Anglos.
Thanks a lot for listening in. We are on episode 11.
Episode 11, lucky number 11.
Absolutely. This is where we put together all kinds of karate stuff from around the world. We have a special show. And just before we get started, if you're listening to this on Monday, November the 28th, you still have 24 hours to register for the Karate BC Open on December 10th.
So that means if you haven't already registered, you better get on your computer right now and register.
Absolutely. I mean, there are now teams coming from Asia, from South America, from around North America, and of course all over the West Coast here.
Yeah, and everybody's kind of getting fired up. So again, that's December 10th, the BC Open. If you're not registered, get there now and register.
Because you're going to want to have a warm-up before the big old daddy tournament, Canada Open Karate Championships, June 3rd, 2017. You've heard about it,
I've heard
you?
about that one.
Yes.
Yeah, tell us a little bit about that.
Well, hey, it's going to be a 2-day massive tournament, maybe the biggest we've ever seen in Canada. And you could be the first Canada Open champion. How about that?
That sounds pretty darn good. And I think, maybe somebody from a hometown can be the first Canadian champion.
That would be fantastic. So if you want to find out more about all these wonderful things, catch us on our social media and on the thing called the internet at
www.karate360podcast.com. You can also get us on our Twitter handle as well as on our Facebook at Karate360. Or, you can find us obviously here on the Karate 360 podcast.
That's right. And, karate's going to be in the Olympics from Tokyo, the 2020 Summer Games. And if you want to find out what it's like to do karate in Japan, then you've got to read this book called Sunny Leads Volume 1.
I've heard of that book too.
Yeah, actually, we were handing it out today to people
Yeah.
right here in the club at Kenzan Sports Karate, and explains what it's like to actually be a fish out of water and be training in Japan. And you can just Google that. It's on Amazon, and you can get signed copies from sunnyleads.com.
Even better. All right, guys, this is episode 11 of Karate 360, and it's a special episode this week, but we'll get into this, but let's start the show.
Karate 360, let's start the show. 高い蹴りには足払い。ロコからゴローブへ。私たちが夢中になっているものは、それは空手360。
Now I understand why you wanted to do that. There's no way I could have done that.
皆さん、こんにちは。これはリチャードですね。That's the Japanese translation for our Karate 360 songs.
Yeah, I love it.
So if you are just tuning in, it's Karate 360. Let's start the show. You will kick high. I will sweep low. From local to global, the thing that we love, karate. And then it's 360 for
which is
Sanrokumaru. Yep. So my kids were teasing me the other day. They're like, why do you switch to Sanokumaru at the end? Why don't you just say 360? I'm like, that's the way we do it. They're like, you should do it in Japanese. Okay, I'm going to do it in Japanese.
Then there it is.
So we did it in Japanese.
I think it's great.
And our first guest on the show ever is here and laughing at me as I've been singing along here. I'm going to introduce you to one of my absolute best friends here, Peter Stoddart. Peter and I are almost exactly the same age. Yeah, by a day or two.
Okay, yeah.
And I'm going to give you a quick lead in. He's one of my favorite people of the whole world here. He's been doing karate forever, both in Canada and in Scotland. It's been on the Canadian, been in Canada here and been on the BC team, been on the Canadian national Wadokai team, and is the full-time professional karate coach at Hollyburn Country Club in West Vancouver.
Yeah, beautiful center they have there.
Yes, absolutely. He's been there for 17 years as a full-time coach, and he's got like over 100 students.
Yeah.
A very, very dynamic instructor, and we've got him on the show. So, welcome, Peter.
Welcome, Peter. And one thing before we get started here, as an athlete coming up, Peter has been a coach on the BC team, and just adding on a little bit what you said. Always kind of known as the most positive coach and just somebody you can always go to kind of talk to and kind of get your spirits up a little bit. I remember when we were on the BC team, if anybody was feeling nervous or getting a little bit, not sure what to do and they come up to the mat, go talk to Peter. Go talk to Peter and he'll be able to let you know and he'll put you in the right mind.
I think It's be huge, be massive, be amazing. You're incredible.
Yeah, that sounds just like Peter. So anyways, without further ado, we have in studio here Sensei Peter Stoddart.
Yay!
Thanks, lads. Pleasure to be here on Sanbyaku Rokuju, or is it what did I say it right?
Sanrokumaru.
Sanrokumaru. So good. You guys have such a great setup. So excited to be here.
Well, we're excited to have you, and of course, this is also a big weekend for us here, as we do have the CZ workshop and seminar here. We're also with Norma Sensei coming, starting tomorrow. Well, tomorrow.
Exciting
we're
times.
Friday. Yeah.
Exciting times in Kenzen.
And we have here locally at Kenzen, we have a few people testing for the black belt. Peter, you have a few people as well testing from your club for the black belt. So maybe you can just tell us a little bit about kind of the preparation that you put them through in order to get through their Dan test.
Hell. I put them through hell. I had such a good time. Honestly, it was. It's like any student going from white belt to black belt, to see them grow, develop, express their fears, their concerns, and finally have the chance to know that they're gonna try to pass their black belt.
Yeah.
It's the biggest day ever.
Yeah.
And I'm so excited for them. I couldn't be happier, and I couldn't be more humbled to see the work that goes into it. Like any instructor who wants to see the best from the people around them.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if they're about to try for the repechage match, or it's their first round in nationals, the first round in BC team. Everybody remembers what it's like to be the first time going, I've got a chance to do something huge.
Yeah. And I remember that when I was first going for my black belt as well, I was so nervous, and I can only imagine your athletes kind of in the same thing. What are kind of some things that you use? I mean, just being around you, it kind of clears your nerves a little bit just by who you are, but what are some kind of the tactics that you use to kind of maybe bring your athletes down a little bit and just kind of settle them into their Dan test?
You've got to be real. You got to literally talk to them, not like they're kids. Don't talk down to them. Don't be condescending. I must be sensei. You just talk, and you find out where they're at in their head. You draw on your experience as an instructor, and if they need to be, maybe it's a confidence issue, maybe it's a skill issue. And everybody doubts themselves in some way, and that's okay. But to acknowledge it, and then maybe reframe it, and through little techniques to know that it's an exciting time. It's not a dangerous time. It's or maybe they're nervous, but that's that reframing. You can go, hey, what do you like? Do you like your Christmas or your birthday more? They're gonna pick one. They're gonna pick something, and it's that reframing. Well, it only comes like once a year. Well, this is an opportunity too. And how many times do you get to do something like this? And that can that little upping the ante in just a little way for an athlete. It doesn't matter if they're going for a green belt or a black belt or a championship round. When you tip that scale and let them know that they've got the edge or some kind of advantage, they just got stronger.
Yeah. And I know it's something that we've talked about here on our podcast, just with you and me, Richard, a little bit. And something that you said was, the hardest, belt test you have is actually your first one, your yellow belt. But if you can pass that, you can become a black belt.
Easily.
Yeah. It's
easy. And it's a question of steps. And that's what we do as senseis, as coaches, as mentors, as social workers sometimes. As the instructor has many hats, and we've got to be able to draw on all of those experience and the things that built us, and be able to transmit that. So if somebody's in a competition and it's just the confidence, or maybe they're 1 point down, and maybe all of a sudden they're equal, and then it's 1 point above, you just got to keep that momentum going. Or maybe it's time to hunker down and just let them know that maybe they're not going to win the match, but to hold the draw, to be the best within themselves. And just through that, we've had ridiculously amazing results. And that's pretty much all I do, really. And we don't as coaches necessarily need to be the best athletes. We just need to be the best person to bring out the best in our athletes. Absolutely. And that's a trend I've noticed in all walks of life right now. So it's a really awesome time to be a coach, and especially with the Olympics on the horizon too. So couldn't be happier to be part of that process.
Peter, this is really cool to be interviewing you on the podcast because you and I talk all the time, but now I get to ask you really cool questions. So what's your favorite karate technique? No, we're going beyond that, ladies and gentlemen, and not what your favorite Chuck Norris karate joke is either.
I'm pushing the world down. I'm not doing push-ups.
That's
pushing
true.
the world.
Yeah, oh, he knows the Chuck Norris jokes. There you go.
You guys are from the same era.
Yeah, exactly. Hold on there. All right, so here's my first one. Let's forget about where you're from and everything. We know that stuff. Let's talk about your first real approach to karate back when you had a Shodan and Nidan and were first training and competing, to your approach to karate now. What comes through your mind when I say that? Your approach to karate then, your approach to karate now.
I think that
we can do one piece at a time. We don't have to dive into millions. Just one thing that kind of comes to your head.
No, I can tell you exactly the moment where I knew I was at there was a divergence, and I was a strong Shotokan Nidan, and I felt really good about myself, and I went to train in Japan.
Yeah.
And you couldn't feel better about yourself because you've made it. You've made it to the place where they do karate. That's where it comes from. That's the source.
I think anybody who does karate, they want to do karate in Japan.
That's it.
Yeah.
So I go there, and it's the best thing in the world, and I love it, and all of the things that come with being in Japan as a foreigner. But, and this is the but, it took that time to springboard where I am now. And I'd say springboard, what I mean is rocket launch to where I am now, because to get to a second degree black belt is a respectable grade, and many people will be happy with that. And it's a very great place to be. It's an awesome place to be. I had no idea at that particular time for me, so this is a personal experience I'm drawing on, would rocket ship me in a complete other direction, and accelerate my growth as a person, I turned into an instructor, as somebody who's very passionate about martial arts. It was a very deep time for me, and I really didn't know how to deal with it. And now I look back and kind of smile. And if I could have walked into the same dojo, I'd have patted myself on my head and going, "It's going to be okay. You don't know anything yet, but good job. Keep trying." With any luck, there's a future version of myself doing the same thing to myself right now. So I know I'm going to go places. I'm going to do things I have no idea I'm capable of, and I wish that on everybody in the whole wide world. I really do, especially in martial arts. So
that's really neat that you feel that you're still learning and going forward. And I think it's cool you brought up Japan, because that was the second topic I was going to spin about. Because I think, here in your Nidan and stuff, you not only dove deeper into learning karate in one style, but you switched styles. You're a style changer, a shapeshifter. Yes.
Or some might say traitor.
Oh, I've never heard that word in my whole karate career.
It's so true. It's like, no, you must always.
Okay, so let's stick on this. Let's talk about the people who see us as a traitor, but we were moving forward. Let's go that, because then we're going to go back to Japan.
Yeah, absolutely. I've no problem elaborating on that, because it's, well, what do you say? You happen to come back from Japan, and now you don't worship your elementary school anymore. You've maybe moved on to high school in your head, perhaps even university, or maybe even a master's. But it doesn't discount anything you did before. Not one little bit. And it doesn't discount any bit of sweat that you dropped before, or bad techniques that you threw as an orange belt. It doesn't discount anything at all. It just means you found something that you like now. And don't get me wrong, I have always loved ice cream, but I'm not a fan of raspberry ice cream. It's okay, and I think I did like it as a kid, so it's okay. And I know I'm using analogies to hopefully explain something that's in a much bigger picture.
No, we talk about ice cream all the time on this podcast, actually.
Okay, good.
You're fitting right in with the whole topic. You're doing great.
I love it. But there you go. It's I just happened to find something else that I really enjoyed.
Sure, yeah.
And just because of that, it actually enhanced everything that I did before. And I recognize that even more in the genius in the people who came up with the before, and helped me recognize what I want to do now. And even since that, there have been many iterations. So as much as I would consider myself a traditional martial artist, I'm also an evolving martial artist. And it doesn't take anybody else to know much more than the words of Bruce Lee, like you must be water, these kind of concepts that people have tried to transmit to say it's okay to develop. And I think that's the message here. And I think we should be grateful to the people who have always taught us things. And if you find a great mentor, then these are valuable things. Please find them. And they're hard to find. So,
okay, so you went from then having mentors and learning in the Shotokan world, and have kind of kept one foot always there, but transitioned to the Wado world. So, and now you're at a 6th-degree black belt in the Wado world at reaching that, and a second Q instructor. What was it with the transitioning from one style and also keeping the other style? Because people in the old style obviously may have looked at you like, how dare you? And how dare you comes up sometimes too.
How dare you? Yeah, and I know I used the word traitor earlier, but how dare you is a much more polite way of transmitting that feeling from people. So I don't feel bad about it, but it's.
But why Shotokan to Wado?
When I went there, no holds barred, I can honestly say I was given more opportunity with the group that I encountered. And you could have told me it was Shorinji Kempo, Jiu-Jitsu, Taekwondo, even in Japan. It doesn't matter. That was the group that I encountered. And they kind of put me under their wing. They were accepting of the fact that I couldn't really say much more than 1 to 10 and name some karate strikes, which is no use at all, by the way. If you ever go to Japan and order a beer and you don't only know how to say karate moves, that's not useful at all. But back to the point is I was asked to come along to summer camps, and I was asked, hey, would you like to be a part of this team? We're going to go compete in a place called the Budokan. It's the center for martial arts in Japan. Do you want to go? Do I? Does a one-legged duck swim in circles? Absolutely. And so I'm gonna say that it was a matter of opportunity and kindness, and certain people had reached out to, and they had no reason to do it. There was no benefit for them. They weren't going, hey, let's poach the guy who only knows these katas or only moves in that form. It was my choice, and I'm actually very happy to say these things to you and let you know why that evolution happened. It was very natural.
Yeah, and as somebody who myself has kind of transitioned from one style, I was originally Shido-ryu and now transitioning to Wado-ryu. One of the things that really that still draws me into the Wado-ryu in a different style is just the fact that it's kind of like a new learning process where you have to relearn some of the moves, you have to relearn some of that stuff, and I really like that, trying to perfect another art almost. So I just want to ask you a little bit about what that transition was for you technically, from going from Shotokan to Wado-ryu, and how you kind of managed that a little bit.
Terribly. Not well at all.
Sure, yeah.
To this day, I have Wado instructors look at me going, looks like Shotokan. And I have Shotokan instructors going, well, and because most Shotokan instructors really don't know what Wado-ryu looks like,
sure.
They don't know what to really comment on.
Yeah.
So I didn't manage that very well at all. I really did try to ride two horses as a single person, And there comes a day when you have to make a choice, and that can happen in your personal life, your professional life. It teaches you. Martial arts teaches you, and sometimes it's kind, and sometimes it's not. So you got to roll with those punches. Transitioning was not something I consciously said I have to do. Like I must unlearn to relearn. I really just started practicing other things more. And with that came the movements and the katas and the shapes, the forms, the sequences, and also the way of thinking that I much preferred. So it's a good fit for me. And although it's outside of Japan, it's probably one of the smaller groups. Inside Japan, it's one of the bigger groups. So it's comfortable. It's good for me, and I think it's good for my students. And the organization that I happen to be in right now is phenomenal. There's terrible things with other groups around me. What I like is that most groups can get on very, very well. We have a strong traditional and sport base, and I'm happy to interact with them all on any level. So I would say this transition time wasn't easy or pretty, because all of a sudden you've got two martial arts fighting. It's kind of like, oh my goodness, inside your body trying to come out at any given time. And I can honestly say a lot of the movements that I do now are heavily influenced with the way I move, but that's a personal choice. How hard do you want to train to improve yourself in a certain direction? So these evolutions should be natural, and as an adult, you have your own choices.
Having been in Japan a little bit.
A little bit.
Tell me some of your favorite stories.
Oh my goodness.
Favorite instructors, just off the top of your head.
Dr. Hideo Takagi.
Takagi Sensei, yeah. Why?
I thought he was going to beat me with a shinai, a stick. He went into a broom cupboard and came out holding a broom and walked up to me menacingly and looked at me. And I thought, oh yeah, here it comes. I'm in Japan now for the beating ceremony. This every foreigner knows about. No, he put it between his legs and rode around the room going da 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 da. And my eyes nearly popped out, and everybody started laughing. I started laughing, and then I realized, oh yeah, relax, chill. Wait, from a senior instructor? Awesome. So that was from a karate point of view, that was a number one right there. I never forgot that. Somewhere in there, you know that these people are human. This is good. You don't have to be a robot. You don't have to behave in a certain way, and it doesn't take away from the individual.
By the way, this is a talent of Peter Stoddart to take massive complex ideas and put them into one sentence. We on the Karate BC Executive have experienced and appreciated this, by the way. Keep going.
I think it just saves time, right?
It does.
I also enjoy meeting people at international martial arts conferences, and it doesn't matter with the time of year, but I can honestly say one of my favorite people to be around is a man called Jamie Jewell from England. Very, very strong karate man.
Shout out to Jamie Jewell.
At one of these particular events, I managed to score a kick on him that, for me, was fairly spectacular. It also allowed me to see what it looks like when a Terminator boots up right in front of your face. Pretty sure he downloaded How to Kill Scotsman. Yeah, I got a little bit of a headache and a lesson learned there that I shouldn't be doing that. But, these are the people that you meet. And it sounds like a terrible experience, but boy, you never forget these things. And we both luckily passed that exam. And
I remember last year in 2015, we were in Japan for the Wadokar World Cup, but you were there for 3 weeks training for your 6th Dan. But you and Jamie Jewell and
Donnie Danner,
were
my father-in-law.
Your father-in-law were training quite hard all together as big guys, to do what needed to be done. And how you prepare. This is something we should talk about. When you go to Japan, you have to prepare physically to get there, and you did actually a pretty intense workout just to prepare to handle the summer training in Japan.
Yeah, I lost lost a fair wee bit of weight from my tummy. And I was very happy to do that. Actually, goals are a good thing. I think that's really the topic that needs to be addressed, because if you are going to be your best at one of these kind of conferences or seminars or examinations, then you want to be your best for it. No matter what stage in life you're at, you could be an athlete, you could be a coach, you could be a supporter. But if you are going to go and do something and have a reason for it, then be your best. Do what you need to do to prepare to be on the day. And it's amazing the number of people who are there to support you if you look for it. And sometimes you have to look hard, but if you look hard enough, you'll find those people start to appear all around you. And then the Danner Sensei and Jules Sensei, Stoddart Sensei group was a little intense. We tested our metal on each other and on our faces and our bodies, and it was a fantastic event. And just the preparation did, unfortunately, the Starbucks what we were talking about earlier incident refers to me overtraining, getting heat stroke, and unleashing my whatever I just ate over a bathroom, which was unfortunate. I do still feel bad to this day, but heat stroke is heat stroke. So when you've got to prepare and there's cruel and unusual circumstances, you've got to make the best. You got lemonade, make lemons.
Yeah, it was hot. I mean, it was 40 degrees, 90% humidity. Everyone was dropping like flies. I mean, there was one night where there was like about 200 foreigners training in an elementary school gym with no air conditioning. And Peter and I are the only ones standing at the end. And people are literally bringing us a liter of water. And talking about goals, well, as a BC team coach, you're getting people prepared to go from a provincial to a national level. What do you think? What does it take? What does it take to be a club-like person with kids who are training and they want to go to the national level? What do you have to do?
The athlete needs some key attributes. They have to have the will to win. This is a competition, and there's a podium and medals involved. So in this particular venue, you have to have the desire to win. You also have to have the support around you to prepare you and help you win. I think anybody can ask anyone who's ever been on a podium if they got there by themselves. And I think that the consensus would be, no, I had help, and I got this advice, I got this preparation, I got this training plan, I got a nutrition plan, I had parental support, I had maybe financial support from businesses. It happens, a sponsorship. So it's important to find and have your support. And when all of those things are in place that maximize your potential to win, then you can win. You have to have all of those things in line. And you have to have your physical and mental development peaking at exactly the right moment for you to compete and elevate your performance during the tournament to ultimately gold medal placement. It's so important. It's about the preparation. Nobody ever walked in there and said, I'm going to win a gold medal today. And maybe, you know what, I get it. There's super athletes out there. But having watched Olympics, having watched Commonwealth Games, having been a coach for many years now, I'm extremely proud to say I get to be part of the support process.
Yeah, that's really interesting. And one of the things that I wanted to talk about too is, in your club, you have, traditional karate athletes too that maybe are just trying to get their next belt. And you also have obviously some elite athletes going for the BC team, whereas, some other clubs focus just on competition or just on the traditional aspect. So how do you kind of balance that, that traditional aspect of karate and getting your next black belt or getting your next belt, whatever level it is, and then also trying to balance that with the elite level, the competition, going for the BC team, going to the nationals? Some athlete might only want to do one or the other. Maybe you want to do both, or you can do both at the same time. So how do you kind of manage that with, you have a number of athletes. So how do you kind of manage
dual athletes are I mean, when I say dual athletes, some do want to do kata, some want to do kumite. There are athletes who want to be recreational. There are some who want to be podium placement athletes. I think the best thing to do is to, as a coach, when I started out, I was really only a coach of a traditional dojo. It was about getting your traditional black belt, which is, again, fine. There's dojos out there who are very happy to do that. But sensing the needs of the people in my dojo, looking at the demographics of, then I agree, competition is healthy. So why not start to become involved in a process? And it actually happened a little bit by accident, because I was going to be a masters athlete. Then at one particular nationals, we'd found out that, that division doesn't exist anymore. So do you want to be a coach? Sure, I'll help out. And as that happened through years and years of, again, just natural evolution, hey, the nationals is this time of year, then all the provincial coaches have to be qualified. So now you got to go in those coaching courses. You got to know your NCCP. You've got to know what it takes to create athletes and make them be the best that they can be on the day. So I was very lucky that I was drawn into the process, and it was a very inclusive process. Canada's NCCP program has been revamped, and through that it's become more karate specific. That's exciting for me. So I get to help my athletes more. So from someone who didn't know very much and just kind of being the universal piece of Lego, I happen to be the most medically qualified, which kind of helps on a karate team if you think about it. Yeah. So I kind of had a little bit of it in. Sure. But on the other hand, I'm a good motivator. Yes, I have passion, and I'm proud to say I've taken, I would say, least likely podium worthy athletes, and all of a sudden they're walking away with a medal, and maybe they made it through the repechage, or maybe they were just on and on and on, and hopefully I was the right voice on the day, and it was the right gel of enthusiasm or advice or whatever that X factor is to get them somewhere. And I'm proud to say I'm happy to see the athletes of my own take podium placement at national level. So I couldn't be happier. And so I see that everything that I've been part of as a success.
How have you seen karate competition evolve in the last 10 years?
In the last 10 years, I would say that it's changed according to, of course, the WKF rules. That's the biggest thing. And Canada's done, I would say, a good job of keeping up with the rest of the world. It's hard to watch WKF championships and know that no Canadian athlete is in the final. I love watching the US Open, yay, and you'll see a few internationalists there. But I know we're getting in the right coaches. We're bringing in top names, the Olives and such. So it's encouraging to know that at least we're training in the right direction, and we're getting the right advice. It's frustrating to know that we're not making that leap, which is fine. I get it. This is Canada. This is a hockey-centric world. And also, a lot of our population can do anything. They can choose to go paddleboarding or ATVing or snowboarding or name any number of sports. But in a lot of countries, you can't do that. So it's difficult to see karate not do as well as it could at international competition. So I want to help. Whether it's a big way or whether it's a small way, I want to be part of the influence to know that I'm helping it get better from a provincial, national, stylistic point of view, from a peewee dojo level point of view. It's all part of a process, and we don't know who walks into a dojo. That person might be the next world champion. The little 4-year-old little girl who goes, I want to go hiya, and I like it, and her parents think it's cute. That person might. We have a responsibility to bring that athlete as far as we can, and take them to national, international competition if we can. It matters, and if you care, then do your best.
Yeah, Peter and I think the same, because I think when someone enters our dojo, we're a doorway to the window of the mainstream world of karate. Peter's kind of unique in that he keeps his foot in the traditional world of karate training, sport world of karate training, and he is trying to peel back the layers of the koryu, the really traditional type of martial arts. In our style, Wado, there's a lot of lip service paid to its roots in jiu-jitsu, but almost nobody actually trains any jiu-jitsu. But Peter's gone on to study in Shindo Yoshino Jitsu, which is one of the founding jiu-jitsu styles. So Peter, tell me, what is it and why?
What is
what is it? What are you doing?
Why do you dress in hakama, go to Colorado, and do Shindo Yoshinryu? I accidentally discovered someone called Tobin Threadgill.
Shout out.
Via Bob Nash.
Shout out.
And these lovely people have been delving deeper into the choreo or classical levels of martial arts.
Yeah, because the thing here is, even in Japan right now, almost nobody studies Shindo Yoshino Jiu-Jitsu. And if they do study Jiu-Jitsu, it's more of a modern take on it. But this very old style is not being done. So, but there's a real lineage stream where you're going in Colorado.
There is.
Which is hilarious.
There is.
So what's the appeal? Like what is it? What's the appeal of it?
Shindo Yoshinryu is as far as I understand, the oldest version of every do. Maybe not Kyudo, but definitely Judo, Kendo, Karate Do. Name any do you want, any way of martial art. And this is as far as I can tell, this is the original do. This is the one thing that has it all. And it happens to have karate. It happens to have, of course, jiu-jitsu. It has the oldest form of Nihon Ryu or Japanese martial art. It's a very stylized form of sword work, empty hand, and various other weapons. The attraction is that it won't work unless you know yourself and you can use your body in a certain way. The other thing is you can't just kind of go, hey, where do I look this up? Can I just trade in this and do it? I found it very accidentally through connections in martial arts. And I'm very happy to say that this particular style of martial arts is unique. Very, it's an odd thing to try and describe now that I've just been asked. And the sword and skill work that is involved is so unique that it's almost precious to work with. And I've never found anything like it. So it's still a new thing for me. I haven't even really felt like I've unwrapped the bow to get into to see what the present is yet. So
that's really cool, because when you hear people who learned martial arts or karate when they were a kid, maybe it was more modern and they were into tournaments and all that sort of stuff, and then as they get older, they kind of peeled away from what they've been doing, and I found this really old style of martial arts. And it lights up my brain. But then they leave, they go, oh, that sport karate I did when I was a kid, actually, I realized it's useless. And that traditional karate I did, it's just junk. But you're not doing that. You know what I mean? Like,
it's going the other way.
Yeah, like, there are people who, when they think like, I'm going to go dig down to the deep roots, like my own genealogy of my family or something like that. They're going to give everything up. But you're not doing that. You're just saying, no, all the karate I'm doing, the sport karate, the interaction with the WKF rules.
You can have it all.
You can have it all, which is, you almost never hear someone just go, why can't we just have it all?
And it keeps getting better. And I've never been more enthused about martial arts at this period in my life.
So was karate the first martial arts that you kind of partook in?
My dad taught judo,
Okay.
and I was the kid whose dad taught judo. So I got bounced around a little bit
Sure.
because, well, your dad's a sensei.
Yes. Yeah.
So it doesn't take a leap to go, well, I can't beat up a sensei, but I'm going to crush that kid.
Yeah.
So when you get large Scottish people landing on you and sending you to hospital a couple of times, you kind of go. So I laid off that for a while and then really wasn't too interested, and then eventually stumbled into martial arts, into karate, because a friend of mine did karate.
Okay.
What I didn't know was the karate instructor knew my dad.
Mm.
So really the same thing happened anyway,
Yeah.
except my dad wasn't around and I didn't feel too bad about it. Also, there was no kids classes. I was just the kid in the class, really, more than anything, I would say. And I didn't feel like I was being taught as a kid or treated like a kid. So I never felt bad about it. Like, large Scottish people hitting each other, sounds like a reason to get together for a couple of times a night. And it helped me grow up quite quickly. And I think that's a good thing in Scotland. But it wasn't without its laughs and its hilarious moments. And I had good, strong Shotokan training as a kid too. So I look back on those days with a lot of fondness, and I still to this day go back whenever I go back to Scotland. I go and train in that dojo.
Yeah.
And usually there are kids classes, and there's a kid standing there looking at me, and I'm like, I want my spot back. Yeah, it's never a dull moment.
Well, it sounds like, now with your own club, and we talk about this a lot, like how do you approach teaching your students then? Do you take some of the things you learned from the past and then some of the things you have now in your experiences?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Like, what do you want out of them? Do you want them to be, when they're training? Like,
I want them to feel like whenever they walk into the dojo, it's the most dangerous, exciting, coolest thing they've done. Not just yesterday, I want them to feel that every single time they walk in there and bow and go, I'm going to learn some karate today. And I'm in my mind, I'm like, yeah, I'm going to show you the best karate that I can. And sometimes it comes out in different forms. And my instructors are such a big influence on me. And I'm talking about the ones from Scotland. So anybody who trains with me is going to get this kind of Scottish, British version from an attitude point of view.
Well, I was listening to it the last 2 days, and are you going to move faster, or we're going to have to bang on your toe with a large hammer? There's a lot of
Absolutely.
There's a lot of goofy physical threats, which obviously the kids know they're not actually going to get banged on their toe by a big, large hammer, but sure, they love to hear it,
It's mind over matter, lads.
Exactly.
I don't mind and you don't matter. We were too scared not to do sit-ups. Is that your fastest punch? Next time I'll time you with a calendar.
No, it was actually funny training the athletes here at Kenzan here. It took them a little bit of time. Like, is he serious? Like, is he actually gonna hit us with a hammer?
That's the thing. That's the thing.
Yeah.
It's exciting. It's meant to be exciting and fun.
Sure.
And I'll tell you what, when it's exciting and fun, and they want to do more, you want to do more. You want to show them more, and they want to try harder too. So all of those things that stimulate their growth, that enhance their learning and make them want to come back for more, makes that fun.
Yes.
I'll still say this to this day. I have no idea if karate likes me. I like karate though, so that's too bad for karate. I got no problem with that. And anybody who says, well, your technique's not good enough. Okay, you know what? It might be better than it was yesterday, and I'm okay with that. So I can reconcile these things. And we all have instructors. You go, oh, that was so terrible, or that was the worst day. But was it better than yesterday? Are you developing as a student? It's a good thing to do.
Yes.
And my students inspire me. They make me want to do better for them. I think as long as that cycle exists, and at this point in my life, it's a very strong part. It's like, I was an athlete. I wanted it all. I wanted to be on the podium. I wanted to win as many medals as I could, and that's fine too. So you evolve.
No, I think that's a really good approach. Absolutely. So with that in mind, let's fast forward 10 years down the road. Where is Peter Stoddart in terms of his martial arts life in the club and also in other realms of martial arts? What does that kind of look like for you?
That would be so neat to jump forward in a little TARDIS right now and see what kind of empire exists. My goal was one day was to have 20 students, and that turned into 50, and that turned into, and so on and so on.
Yes.
10 years down the road from now, I'll be in my early 50s, and I doubt I'll have lost more hair, but that's okay. But I still want, I think the things that I've talked about tonight are the right things to hold on to.
Yes.
Enjoy yourself.
Yeah.
Continually improve. There's a Japanese concept. It's called Kaizen, and it's you can look it up, and it's to continually improve, and it's a simple concept that just means you do the best for yourself, do the best for other people around you.
Kaizen. Let's really get into it now. What's wrong with karate? What do you think is wrong? What's holding us back? Because I can think of several things, and everybody else there. I mean, this is when people are done after training. This is what they go out and they go, all right, what the hell's going on with this, that, and the other thing?
Mm-hmm.
So what are things that publicly Peter Stoddart can talk about? All right, these things really need to change, right?
So I'll start from a traditional point of view. One instructor said, "You know what's wrong with karate? It's kind of like bits of wood in martial arts. There's only splits if you're which is it's the divisions. Those are huge problems, huge issues. Of course, groups get together. Of course, groups separate. That's part of the growth and development of martial arts. It's continually growing, splitting, breaking off, changing. That's back to Bruce Lee 101. If you ask me what's wrong with it, it's the people. But not everybody's like-minded. There are issues with ego. There are issues with politics. There are issues with power. There are issues with your technique will never be as good as mine. I am your sensei. You should always listen to me. I am your coach.
Cult.
I am your coach. I'm your only coach.
Ownership.
Yeah.
Well, it's like things what you're saying, like, in hard sciences and social sciences, you have stuff where something has been discovered or found out, the person or the group that did that, then they become the caretakers of that idea. Then when they're challenged, they want to hold back. And today I was listening to a podcast about problems in hard sciences. And one thing is when you do understand something really, really well, and you've established an elitist position, that you actually hold back teaching other people about it, because that maintains.
You become such a strong advocate.
That's right.
For what you're doing. Everything else is wrong.
Yes.
That's
and that's sometimes a big problem when you're in Japan, because you'll go in and go, I really want to do this higher level kata or learn this higher level kata, and someone look at you and go, yeah, but we've got to spend like the whole class just on your basics before I would even think of practicing a different kata with you or something. Yeah. But what they're doing is they're holding you back from discovering it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's not just Japan. That happens all over the world.
No, absolutely. Yep.
Anybody who travels in martial arts will go, okay, this is...
Actually, it can be worse outside Japan, because when you and I know, when you're in Japan,
that's right.
No one calls each other Shihan. There's no Shihan. Like, there's no calling a master. Like, everyone is, here's my name. They never even put sensei on it.
Yeah.
You call somebody sensei, and because there's just too much oversight. Too many groups are looking at you.
Yeah. It's hard for people, especially because they become this pseudo self-Japanese person. Really, I mean, you got to commend it, because they're so faithful to whatever they're doing. But there comes a point where it actually hinders an awful lot of things. So it's difficult to explain to people, but it's easily recognizable.
Mm-hmm.
But then again, you can't lead a horse to water. You got to sometimes let people have the experience of, I didn't like that, or, oh, I see what's going on now. And I think that teaches them more, which is why don't need to walk around going, that's right and that's wrong. Because if you're in martial arts enough, you'll figure it out pretty soon, or you just won't want to be there.
Yeah. So one of the things I like about the Olympics is a lot of times to get things to push through a log jam in an internal community is you need an external source, like an external causing agent. And so by karate getting in the Olympics, it's making the government funding bodies look at it more. That's going to get coaches who are very progressive and out there get more attention and more funding, and hopefully they'll do not only high performance, but they'll do development.
Absolutely.
But anybody who's stuck, anybody who says it's useless or it's nothing, they don't get that is a motivating agent to the next stage of evolution. You know?
It's such a good thing that I think that we're in the Olympics, simply for the fact that when anybody starts martial arts, they don't know that the person that they're going to go train with is going to be able to lead them to the Olympics or not one day. But the bottom line is, if they happen to watch the Olympics in 2020, and I certainly hope they do, they'll know. I think there's going to be another surge because of all the TV publicity, and people will go into dojos. Not every dojo is going to be a high performance, we can get you to the podium dojo. Mine isn't, but we have a grassroots program that's second to none. That, yeah, if you want to do traditional, we have a route for that. If you want to do sport, we have a route for that. So I hope sincerely that the word Olympics does what it says on the tin, and everyone goes, wow, that's the highest standard. And it's an exciting time. I can't wait to be front row. I want to go, that kid started in my dojo. I want to sit back and be proud. And I think I'm not far off in saying we will have that opportunity. Whether it's my dojo, whether it's your dojo, whether it's somebody on the BC team, the provincial team, a national team, and go, hey, I know that guy, or that's the kid who grew up through this path. Yeah, he did this, and then he did this, and then he moved into sport karate, or now they're a kata athlete. There's avenues, and
that's really truly the reason why people do anything is they want to enjoy it, but they want to enjoy it with other people. They want to do things with friends and feel a connection.
Absolutely. I certainly do. And anybody who's been in this world for 20, 30 years will have definitely reconciled those things within themselves. Hey, I like this. It makes me feel good. It's a source of exercise and continual development. And to find all those things under one roof in a single package is very, very rare. So our senior instructors who help and grow these things within ourselves are rare. So it's our responsibility to find them and not just expect them to teach us, but be there to be taught. You've got to meet people. You've got to meet what you want halfway. Like I said, the student doesn't always have to find the perfect instructor, but there's a middle ground. And I'm happy to be, like I said, I'm extremely proud to be part of the process.
Here at Karate 360, it's all about the process. Well, hey, Peter, thanks for being here this weekend.
My pleasure.
Thanks for teaching. Thanks for lighting up the eyes of all the students and teaching them the crazy but unbelievably beneficial exercises. Absolutely. All right. Well, we're going to have to call that a wrap because that was pretty cool.
That was pretty awesome, Peter. Again,
thank you very much.
Oh, thank you. We can't thank you enough, actually, for coming on and just providing your insight. And I think, one of the things that we want to do here at Karate 360 is we want to let people know about the people in karate, all the kind of characters, whether they're coaches, athletes, and, just you coming on here. And I think all our listeners are going to have a better idea who you are, your coaching philosophy, and I think that's great. So, again, thank you so much for doing this.
Couldn't be happier. Thank you very much.
Right on, Karate 360 Nation. That's episode 11. From next week, it'll be back to regular programming with episode 12. There's been the Japan University Championship tournament. There's a K1 tournament on this weekend. And we're going to look at the results, look at the highlights, also talk about some things that are happening in the traditional karate world. And we're going to have even a bigger list of things next week, ain't Kalan?
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll talk about that again next week. So again, these podcasts come out Monday morning. You guys can catch us at karate360podcast.com. And again, Twitter and Facebook, Karate360. Peter, thank you again one more time, and hopefully we can have you back again here soon.
Thank you, gentlemen.
And don't forget, when you're hearing this on Monday, November 28th, you can still sign up for the Karate BC Open Championships on December the 10th. Just go to karatebc.org. Don't forget our own social media stuff. Send us some questions. Thanks a lot for the comments recently. We really appreciated it. And I'm Richard Mosdell here with Kalan Anglos.
San Rokumaru.